Alright, this came out of left field. I was getting ready to edit my Hyunjin era Luna TV highlights video when I started immersing myself into the LOONA-verse theories and lore. Now, I knew that eventually I was going to dive right into it because I'm a huge lore fanatic, but when I did, I was hit with a wave of oh shit, and damn, that actually makes a lot of sense. So I thought I'd give my take, specifically how every MV fits onto a timeline. And yes, I do believe there's one straight timeline instead of it all being a split timeline. Now, before I continue, I do have to give credit where credit is due. The majority of my theory takes inspiration from the colors theory that YouTuber Croissant de Luna thought of. So I'll be following this train of thought and adding in my own thoughts of how the LOONA-verse works. You can click on the link in the description below and watch their theory to get a better understanding of my thought process behind this. Before I start though, I have to preface this with something. This is all speculation on my part. If you view the information BBC has given to us about Luna and the LOONA-verse differently, that's fine. Just know that all of this is my personal opinion on how everything works. None of this is official. Now without further ado, let's get started. So I believe the first MV of the LOONA-verse is Heejin's Vivid. In the colors theory, it's stated that Heejin is God, and that she wants to spread her colors to the world to make it more beautiful. Her color being pink, of course. This is also stated in the lyrics of Vivid, specifically the ones where Heejin states, "A colorless world is boring, and color me with many colors." Thus, Heejin creates 3 angels of pink to spread beauty around the world. Vivi, Eve, and Olivia Hay. However, whereas Vivi and Eve came out as pink, Olivia came out as a colorless angel. Thus, she wanted to make the world a colorless place as well. Not wanting this, Heejin cast Olivia out of Eden, making her the first fallen angel and thus landing her in the YY by Y world. A fallen angel's wings turn black, then fades. White plus black equals gray, which is Olivia's true colors. Eve tries to save Olivia, but in the end must follow God's orders and lets go. Now, this is where my views and Croissant's views differ. Whereas Croissant thinks that after Olivia remembers her true self, her white wings in the Egoist MV turn to bright pink, showing her true colors. I'm personally hopping on the bandwagon where people think that the wings are bloodstained, which makes sense considering Olivia's true natures and her animal, which is a wolf. A wolf is a predatory animal. It attacks anything it thinks is a threat with no remorse. This is also where the theory of Olivia killing Vivi spawns. Along with multiple image flashes during Egoist, it would make sense that Olivia wants to get back at Eve for betraying her. Instead of going after Eve, however, she goes after the person Eve is closest to, Vivi. It's shown in Eve's MV New that Eve and Vivi are very close enough to go roller skating together. Sound familiar? There was a boy in Vivi's MV Everyday I Love You that roller skated with her, and the theory is that that boy is a mirror version of Eve, or even Eve herself. So it would make sense that, to get back at Eve, she would go after and kill Vivi, the person that Eve truly loves. This was the hardest event to actually timeline, and I decided to place this murder towards the end of the timeline, so just keep this in the back of your head. The point is, the Egoist MV is probably the most expansive MV in the entire LOONA-verse because it doesn't take place in one part of the timeline. It takes place throughout the entirety of the LOONA-verse pre-debut timeline. So, to recap so far, we've got Vivid, which happened at the very beginning, which is just God by herself, questioning, hey, what will make this world more interesting? Ah, I've got it. Colors. And then, the first part of Egoist happens, up to the point where Olivia Hay starts ascending the stairs, and this could be interpreted in many ways. I personally interpret it as her trying to climb back up to Eden. And during her ascent, she's angry that God would just cast her aside like she was nothing. So she tries to spoil God's plan. The first part of her plan is to taint the remaining angels, Vivi and Eve. This is what turns them into their official colors. Remember, Eve and Vivi were born as pink angels. However, using her own powers, Olivia adds a little bit of white to Vivi's pink, and then adds a little bit of black to Eve's pink. This turns their pink into their actual officially announced colors, which is pastel pink for Vivi and burgundy for Eve. The reason why Olivia has this power is, again, she's a fallen angel, and her color is not just one color, it's an all-encompassing color that takes all the shades of gray into account. So once Eve and Vivi have been tainted, they too fall from Eden and land in two different realms. Eve landing in the YY by Y world, and Vivi in the 1/3 world. After they fall, and not wanting to repeat her failures with just spreading just pink around the world, Heejin decides to start balancing the world out with other colors. Thus, she makes the original odd-eye circle, which consists of Jinsul, Kimlip, and Hyunjin, which are the three primary colors of blue, red, and yellow respectively. This also, in turn, I believe, creates the odd-eye circle world, and these three become, the original odd-eye circle. Satisfied with these three colors, Heejin orders Jinsul, Kimlip, and Hyunjin to create the colors of green and orange. This is also hinted at in the vivid lyrics. Red, orange, yellow, green, even thicker, be okay. So Jinsul and Hyunjin come together to make a Go-On, who was the original green, and Kimlip and Hyunjin come together to make Chu, the original orange, because blue and yellow make green, and red and yellow make orange. But Olivia, wanting to ruin God's plans once again, taints Chu and Go-On. She adds white to Chu, and she adds black to Go-On, thus turning them into their colors of peach and Eden green. Because they are tainted by the color of gray, they too fall from Eden, and they land in the YY by Y world. Now, this is where things get a little shifty, I should say. We don't know how she does this, but I do believe this is also part of her plan. So, as an added security, Olivia wants to take Hyunjin out of the odd-eye circle world, because the odd-eye circle world, their main concept and focus is on colors, as seen in the odd-eye circle MVs, whereas 1/3 is mostly revolving around animals, and YY by Y revolves around fruit. So to do this, she somehow convinced Chu and Go-On to make a bracelet, and this was seen in one of the cinema theory videos that was shown at one of the fan events. Go-On attaches a bracelet to a cat, and that cat comes to Hyunjin at her door, and that's that. So once Hyunjin puts on the bracelet and steps outside the door, you see a noticeable shift. When she's inside, she was wearing what looks to be a yellow sweater, which indicates that she was in the odd-eye circle world, representing her color of yellow. However, as soon as she stepped out of her room, she is now wearing a dress, and she dons a cat head. This, in turn, means that she has been kicked out of the odd-eye circle world, and she is now residing in the 1/3 world. Now, going back to Olivia convincing Chu and Go-On, I don't know if she convinced them or she tricked them. This hasn't been revealed yet. I would say I'm more on the side of Olivia tricking Chu and Go-On, but that's nothing has been revealed that confirms that theory, so I'm just gonna leave that out. So in any case, that this whole event means that around you fits after the very beginning of Egoist. So now, with one spot vacant in the Odd Eye Circle world, Jinsoul and Kimlip decide to fill that void by coming together. Red plus blue makes purple, and that's how Cherry is formed. And these events occur during the Sweet Crazy Love MV, so that places us in that MV. Cherry is also unique in the fact that she is the only non-YY by Y member revealed so far to have an assigned fruit, which is a cherry, and there's a good reason for that. The cherry is also stated to allow her to walk between the three realms of Luna, 1/3, Odd Eye Circle, and YY by Y. Now, there's a little bit of speculation in the fandom parts about her actual powers. Some say that once she eats a cherry, she just appears in the realm. Others say that whenever she is eating cherry, the effects of her other self, quote unquote, allow her to transport to the world, just walk between the worlds at any given point. Or, what I'm jumping on is during the Love Cherry Motion MV, we see her in this meadow, and we see a bunch of mirrors in the meadow. And eventually, at the end of the MV, that meadow turns purple, and that's what I'm gonna call the Cherry Realm. Whenever she eats a cherry, she transports herself into that realm, and by eating another cherry, she's allowed to transport into those mirrors, into those worlds. Wherever they may be, whether it be the 1/3 world, so there might be certain mirrors for the 1/3 world, certain mirrors for the Odd Eye Circle world, and certain mirrors for the YY by Y world. But I'm digressing. This whole theory, or this whole video, is about the timeline, and I'm just throwing theories upon theories here. So let's move on. After Cherry is made, Odd Eye Circle becomes official, as seen at the end of Love Cherry Motion, where you see the giant purple moon in the center, and next to it a red moon and a blue moon. This is when Girlfront occurs. However, before Girlfront, Jinsoul finds Hasul and gives her some of her color, which is blue. She either found her or she made her. I'm not too sure on that. Same with Kimlip and Yojin. Kimlip gives some of her color, which is red, to Yojin. And the proof comes at the very beginning of Love Cherry Motion, where you see a cherry go over to a house and you see Hasul in a blue shirt and Yojin in a red shirt. This is evident enough to place Love Cherry Motion before the events of Girlfront. And you might be wondering, well, why is that? Because the whole idea of the Girlfront MV is that Kimlip and Jinsoul are using Cherry's powers to find Hyunjin. This allows Hyunjin to come together with Hasul and Yojin to make the colors green and orange respectively. Thankful for her, Hasul and Yojin go back to the 1/3 world with Hyunjin after they merge colors. The whole idea of merging comes from the colors theory. However, there is another theory that kind of adds on to this, and it's called the mirror theory. Using the connection of the mirror theory, Cherry is in fact Hyunjin. We see this this is sort of alluded to because on her clothes rack, Cherry has some yellow clothes, which eventually Yojin wears anyways, but you know, little speculations there. There's also the fact that yellow and purple are opposite colors on the color wheel. So that's the main driving factor behind that theory. Using this connection, they do everything I've stated previously, and because of the connection with Hyunjin, Hasul, or you know, once they merge with Hyunjin's colors to make their own respective colors, Hasul and Yojin are kicked out of the Odd-Eyed Circle world and land in the 1/3 world. Or it could be that Cherry originally started in the 1/3 world, and same with Hasul and Yojin, but after she finds her cherry, or she eats the cherry from the cake, she is transferred into the Odd-Eyed Circle world, which I guess would make more sense. I'm digressing. Anyways, here's the current timeline for all of you who are confused, and I'm sure most of you are confused. We have Vivid at the very start, then we have the beginning of Egoist, and then we have Around You, we have Sweet Crazy Love, and then after that we have the Odd-Eyed Circle singles. So we have Eclipse, Singing in the Rain, and Love Cherry Emotion. I assume that during Eclipse was when Kim Lip found Yojin, and Singing in the Rain is when Jinsol finds Hasul. I'm not 100% sure, but this is what's most likely to be quote-unquote canon. And then after those singles we have Girlfriend. Alright, let's move on to our YY by Y girls. So after all this color making has occurred, Eve and Vivi meet up in the 1/3 world. Somehow Eve has the power to transport into the 1/3 world, but again, I digress. So how do I know that they meet up in the 1/3 world? Well, we see a collected Hyunjin, Hasul, and Yojin in Vivi's MV Everyday I Love You. This is also where I have to mention Everyday I Need You. Although it's not an official title track, this is where Vivi meets Jinsol, so that might be how Eve got into the 1/3 world. But because Jinsol is there, and she obviously has her powers to transport between worlds, we'll place Everyday I Need You after Girlfriend. Plus, in Everyday I Need You, that's obviously human Vivi and not android Vivi. But let's move on. Back to Everyday I Love You, the collection of the 1/3 girls, basically, means that it does indeed take place in the 1/3 world, and it takes place after Girlfriend. But now it's time for some heavy shit. Right after the events of Everyday I Love You, Olivia kills Vivi. We don't know how, we don't know the exact, moments when, but this is where it would make the most sense for Olivia to kill Vivi. This thrusts Eve into a deep depression, and this makes her question God and Eden. This is what leads her to eat her forbidden fruit, the apple. This is basically her way of saying, fuck God and fuck Eden. If there was a God, why didn't you save Vivi? Eating her fruit also allows her to experience the best form of love, self-love, which is the whole concept behind the YY by Y girls. This places Eve's MV of New next in our timeline. And then what happens next is pretty self-explanatory if you watch the other YY by Y girls MV. Chu, because of her affection and admiration for Eve, eats her forbidden fruit, which is strawberry, and rejects Eden. Then Go-On eats her forbidden fruit, the pineapple, and also rejects Eden. There's some religious subtext here with the crowning of Go-On and her being Jesus. I'm not gonna touch that yet. Maybe in a later theory, but just not now. So we've established that eating the forbidden fruit means to reject Eden, reject God, and love oneself. However, with Olivia, her eating her forbidden fruit had an opposite effect. Yes, she does learn to love herself. However, this in turn makes her love God as well. Remember what I said about members mirroring other members? Yeah, guess who Olivia has mirrors? Yeah, it's kinda God. During the scene in Egoist where Olivia hugs herself, she's actually embracing God, and God, being all benevolent and such, forgives her. Eating her fruit also changes her personality, She wants to make amends with Eve. She wants forgiveness. However, plot twist, with accepting herself, she also has to accept her sins and the fact that she committed murder. She has to accept the wolf inside of her. As punishment for her sins, Heejin sends the world of YY by Y, which consists of Eve, Chu, Gohan, and Olivia, to the castle in love forever. Now, whether this is a punishment for Olivia herself or YY by Y by rejecting God and Eden, I'm not sure. I'm more leaning towards the latter though, because it makes for an interesting story. However, originally I thought the castle in Love Forever was Eden, as at the end of the MV, we see the girls running away from it. However, we also see Olivia stay behind. So if the original theory is that all the girls of YY by Y reject Eden, why would Olivia, the sinner, stay behind? My theory is that the castle is not Eden, but purgatory. Olivia has to live out her punishment of being left behind and not being accepted by the other girls, even after she has a change of heart. Another piece of theory I have to throw into Love Forever is the reason why they left Olivia is because of Eve. Because she does not want to forgive Olivia for the murder of Vivi. So, Eve convinces Chu and Gohan to come with her and escape. Now this could have been very easy if we go down the line that Olivia tricked Chu and Gohan and they feel bad for ejecting Hyunjin out of the Oddite Circle world. In any case, the convincing succeeds, and all three of them rush out of the castle, casting Olivia into oblivion. That's why Olivia is really sad at the end of the MV. This is her eternal punishment. Now, we have to bring up the teacher. The teacher could easily be an archangel, or someone placed there by God to watch over the girls. Right, she's the whole image of, oh, snooty, uptight, old woman. And this could easily be just a guardian trying to stop the girls from escaping punishment. Of course, the first three girls of YY by Y do indeed escape and leave Olivia behind. But I digress. So, after, or is either during or after this whole ordeal that Heejin creates an android of Vivi, and thus the events of the 1/3 subunits occur. Love and Live and Sonatin. Sometime before Love and Live, however, Yojin gets lost. We don't know how, we don't know why, but I do have to bring up the text on her shirt during Love Cherry Motion said Wanderer, so she might be a lost wanderer wandering through the realms. We just know that the 1/3 girls are indeed looking for her, and that's what the slash in their name means. However, while she's wandering, the events of Kiss Later happen. They could be a dream, they could just be on her head, or they could have actually happened. In any case, I'm just putting Kiss Later here in the timeline because I have no idea where else to place it. And we do know that this is still in the 1/3 world because of the heavy emphasis on animals. Meanwhile, Hasul is still searching for Yojin while Kiss Later is happening, and this is where we place Let Me In. Sort of right on top or right after Kiss Later, where Hasul goes to a desolate Iceland in search of the young Kappa Frog. There, she actually finds herself, but the animal form of herself, the dove or the bird, right? And here's another part of me theorizing. Solely based on the song name and the fact that Hasul kills the bird during the MV, she wants to get into Eden. And there's another part of me that wants to say that all the girls meeting up at Eden will eventually lead to Luna becoming whole, not Heejin and Olivia meeting. Olivia and Heejin meeting just complete the circle of Luna. They don't actually make Luna, which is what I assume at this point a full moon. So Hassel, rejecting herself, kills her animal self, and she's basically saying, I'm not gonna love myself. Please let me in to Eden, etc. Meanwhile, Jinso's appearance in Egoist during the second half of the MV might have another meaning. She's using cherries, cherries, which have the ability to realm warp. This might have allowed her to help Olivia escape purgatory, and this is what leads us to the final scene of Egoist. Heejin, God, slowly walking towards Olivia. Olivia turns around. The 12th member meets the first. The circle is now complete. Luna will arrive.